In the early episodes of this series, we discussed how theater evolved from early religious rituals into an art form of its own. Its connection to these religious roots resulted in an art form that explored the most profound aspects of humanity. The first significant genre to initiate theater as an autonomous art form was tragedy. Tragedy became prominent in Greece during the 6th century BC, when annual festivals were held and competitions for the best tragedy took place. Performed in outdoor amphitheaters for large audiences, tragedies were larger than life and far more theatrical than the realistic plays of today. Looking at the theatrical conventions of the time, the earliest tragedies utilized a single actor who played all of the characters during a performance. Different characters were depicted by means of changing theatrical masks. The performance of ancient tragedies also included a group of worshippers known as the chorus. Their performance was highly ritualistic and occupied a circular performance area referred to as the orchestra. In these early tragedies, the actor would perform on a raised stage situated on one side of the orchestra, engaging in dialogue with members of the chorus. The dramatic structure of the classical tragedies alternated between poetic passages performed by the chorus and episodes that occurred between the actor and the chorus. The tragic hero is perhaps the most significant iconic character of tragedy. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, in his seminal work Poetics, describes the tragic hero as a character of noble birth who demonstrated heroic qualities, but who also possessed a tragic flaw that led to their downfall. This character evoked feelings of pity and fear in the audience when they would experience a reversal of fortune leading to a catastrophe. The core values of the genre of tragedy arise from an ancient philosophy known as Stoicism. The Stoics believed that reason and logic sprang from nature to allow humans to operate in a well-ordered society. This social order thrived when citizens followed the 4 cardinal virtues of prudence, fortitude, temperance, and justice. It was believed that living according to these virtues would bring society in concordance with nature. These 4 qualities motivate the inner logic of tragedy. Stoicism may be seen in the action of the tragic hero. Though of a high rank in society, the hero is morally equal to the common man. Like the typical citizen, they possess human frailty. This results in a catastrophe and allows the audience to identify with the downfall of the tragic hero, leading to catharsis. Through catharsis, tragedy was more than entertainment for the audience. It was also seen as a cleansing ritual for society. The paradox of the tragic flaw is that it stems from some noble aspect of the hero. But within the inner logic of the tragedy, it causes the downfall of this iconic character. For example, in Sophocles' classical tragedy, Oedipus the King, the tragic hero is a decisive leader. This noble quality leads Oedipus to pursue, with single-minded passion, an unknown villain whose actions have brought about a plague on his kingdom. When Oedipus discovers that he himself is the culprit, he accepts responsibility for his downfall and carries out his threat of vengeance upon himself. This recurring insistence that we take responsibility for our actions, those both noble and tragic, is one of the most respected conventions of tragedy and is at the center of its core values. Though the harsh punishment that Oedipus renders on his own head seems excessive to us, putting out his eyes and banishing himself from his own kingdom, it is solidly within the inner logic of the genre of tragedy. Common tropes of tragedy employed by Oedipus the King include natural disasters as a means of punishment by the gods, fate that is decided before the action of the play even begins, A misunderstood prophecy, the unraveling of the tragedy as reported by a messenger, and wasteful, unnecessary death. The main dramatic conflict in tragedy is between the forces of human society versus the will of the gods. This lofty conflict often results in the tragic hero proclaiming that they are pursuing a quest that fulfills the will of the gods. This pursuit often leads the hero to fall prey to their own pride, a tragic flaw Aristotle referred to as hubris. The director of a tragedy will be required to stage action designed to unsettle the audience, revealing truth rather than providing comfort or entertainment. Actors performing in the world of a tragedy must commit themselves to grapple with enormous obstacles. This genre requires performances that push emotions past the point of propriety. An actor is required to marshal all their energy into creating a bleak outcome that many in the audience will likely resist. Any attempt to hold back or lessen the impact of tragedy's brutal outcome can lessen the tragic proportions and cause the play to devolve into melodrama. The mark of a true tragedy is when the central character's spirit is completely spent. Perhaps the best example of this is in Shakespeare's tragedy King Lear. Lear loses his kingdom, his family, and even his identity. At the end of the play, there is a glimmer of hope when Lear reconnects with his youngest daughter, Cordelia. The classical reversal of fortune occurs when the old king discovers that his beloved daughter has been hung. In the final scene of the tragedy, King Lear carries his deceased daughter onto the stage, facing the consequences of his action, and the burden is too much for him. His life is spent, and he dies clutching on to his tragically murdered daughter. Thus, tragedy's convention of catastrophe, which follows the reversal, not only ends Lear's life, but reminds the audience that the earthly things that we hold precious will one day be taken from us. This communal understanding generates a sense of catharsis. The next genre we'll explore is, in many ways, one of the most misunderstood of all genres. We'll take a look at the world of comedy in the next episode of Theater, Storytelling in Action.